In the vastness of space, where countless civilizations rise and fall, there exists an unspoken rule. Never underestimate the seemingly primitive species. The Galactic Council had cataloged millions of worlds, but Earth remained a peculiar enigma. From their orbital stations, the advanced races watched humanity with a mixture of amusement and condescension, convinced that these bipedal creatures were nothing more than lucky survivors who had somehow stumbled their way to the industrial age. That was their first mistake. The year was 2047 when the Drachnid Empire decided to establish a foothold on Earth. Their scanners had detected vast mineral deposits beneath the planet's surface, and like many before them, they saw humans as mere obstacles to be cleared away. Their preliminary research suggested that humans were physically weaker than most spacefaring species, lacking natural armor, claws, or enhanced sensory abilities. The Drachnids' tactical AI calculated a 99.8% chance of successful planetary acquisition with minimal resistance. That was their second mistake. What the aliens failed to understand was that humans hadn't survived millions of years of evolution by being the strongest or the fastest. We survived because we were the most adaptable, the most innovative, and above all, the most ruthless when pushed into a corner. Our ancestors didn't have the sharpest teeth or the deadliest claws, but they had something far more dangerous, the ability to turn anything and everything into a weapon. The first wave of Drachnid ships descended upon major cities worldwide, expecting panic and submission. Instead, they encountered something their vast databases had never documented: organized chaos. Humans didn't run screaming into the streets as their simulations predicted. No, they adapted. Within hours, civilian engineers were reverse engineering crashed alien tech. Military veterans were training civilians in guerrilla warfare tactics. Kids who spent thousands of hours playing video games were unexpectedly proving to be excellent drone pilots. The Drachnids couldn't comprehend how their advanced weaponry was being countered by what they considered primitive technology. They didn't understand why their warriors, despite being physically superior, kept falling to human traps and ambushes. They failed to grasp that every human child grew up hearing stories about alien invasions, watching movies about humanity fighting back against impossible odds. We had been mentally preparing for this moment for generations. But what truly terrified the Drachnids wasn't our weapons or our tactics. It was our history. As they began studying human warfare more closely, they discovered something chilling. Every major advancement in human technology, every leap forward in science, had been driven by conflict. We turned the power of the atom into a weapon before we used it for energy. We developed space travel technology because of a Cold War. We created the internet as a military communication network. The Drachnid commanders watched in horror as humans demonstrated why we had become Earth's apex predators. We hadn't earned that title through raw strength, but through our unparalleled ability to analyze, adapt, and overcome any challenge. Videos began spreading across the galactic network showing human resistance fighters using everyday items in ways that made even hardened alien warriors flinch. Now, as the dust settles on the first month of what the internet has dubbed the Welcome Party, the Galactic Council faces an unprecedented situation. The Drachnid Empire, for the first time in its 50,000-year history, is requesting immediate withdrawal from a conquest. But here's the real kicker. Humans aren't willing to just let them leave. We want answers, we want technology, and most importantly, we want to ensure this never happens again. As the sun sets over the smoking ruins of what was once a Drachnid command center, one thing has become crystal clear to the watching universe. They didn't just wake a sleeping giant. They awakened an apex predator that had been patiently waiting for its chance to join the galactic stage. Want to know what happens next? How humanity turns the tables on their would-be conquerors? Stay tuned. The first official contact between humanity and the Galactic Council occurred 3 weeks after what became known as the Brisbane Gambit, where a group of Australian Special Forces units, backed by civilian mining engineers, captured an intact Drachnid mothership using nothing but industrial drilling equipment and makeshift electromagnetic pulse devices. The Council's diplomatic vessel approached Earth with extreme caution, broadcasting peace signals in every known frequency. The meeting took place in a hastily assembled conference room in Geneva, where Earth's United Military Command had established its headquarters. The alien diplomats, representing 12 different spacefaring civilizations, found themselves facing not just military leaders and politicians, but also scientists, historians, and surprisingly, a group of science fiction authors who had been brought in as cultural advisors. The Council's representatives were stunned to learn that humans had already theorized most of their advanced technologies through what they dismissed as entertainment media. Our scientists have been exploring concepts like faster-than-light travel, energy shields, and artificial gravity for decades through the lens of speculation and imagination. What the aliens saw as primitive fiction had actually prepared humanity for this exact moment. But what truly unsettled the Council was discovering how humans had already begun adapting Drachnid technology. In less than a month, research teams across the globe had not only deciphered their computing systems, but had started improving upon them. A teenager in South Korea had found a way to bypass their neural interfaces, while a retired software engineer in Brazil had discovered critical vulnerabilities in their AI systems. The Council's anthropologists were particularly disturbed by their analysis of human entertainment media. They found thousands of stories, movies, and games depicting humanity successfully fighting off alien invasions. While other species dreamed of peaceful first contact, humans had spent centuries preparing for war among the stars. We hadn't just imagined these scenarios, we had systematically thought through every possible way to win them. The Drachnid Empire's retreat had sparked a power shift in galactic politics. Other aggressive species, who had been eyeing Earth's resources, quickly reconsidered their plans. Videos of human resistance fighters taking down Drachnid battle mechs with improvised weapons had gone viral across the galactic network. One particular clip, showing a group of farmers using modified crop dusters to deploy experimental electromagnetic disruption fields, had become something of a cautionary tale in alien military academies. As Earth's representatives began negotiations with the Council, they made one thing abundantly clear: humanity wasn't interested in just defending our planet anymore. We wanted a seat at the galactic table, and we had leveraged our possession of Drachnid technology to ensure we got it. The captured mothership in Brisbane had contained not just advanced weapons, but also star charts, trade routes, and detailed information about every known civilization in the galaxy. What the Council didn't know was that while these diplomatic talks were ongoing, human cyber warfare units were already deep inside their networks, quietly mapping their defenses and capabilities. We hadn't survived countless predators and ice ages just to become another subordinate species in some cosmic hierarchy. If the galaxy wouldn't give us an equal place at the table, we were prepared to take it. As the negotiations entered their second day, reports began coming in from across the solar system. Human ships, cobbled together from captured alien tech and our own space programs, had already begun establishing bases on Mars and Europa. We weren't asking for permission to expand into space. We were simply informing the galaxy that we had arrived. The question now wasn't whether humanity would join the galactic community, but how much our arrival would reshape it. As one Council member was overheard saying, "We haven't just discovered a new spacefaring species. We've unleashed something that's been waiting in the shadows, watching and learning, preparing for this moment for centuries." Want to see how the galactic community reacts to humanity's bold moves? Stay tuned for the next part. The Galactic Council's worst fears materialize 6 months after Earth joined the interstellar community. What they had dismissed as human stubbornness was actually carefully calculated patience. While our diplomats kept the Council occupied with endless negotiations about trade agreements and territorial rights, Earth's combined military and scientific communities were executing a plan generations in the making. The first sign came when human ships started appearing at the edges of known space, far beyond where our technology should have allowed us to reach. These weren't the cobbled-together vessels from our early space expansion. They were sleek, advanced craft that incorporated elements of every known alien technology, improved upon by human innovation. The Council's analysts were baffled by how quickly we had not only mastered their technology, but evolved it into something new. But the real shock came during what became known as the Silicon Revolution. A team of human programmers released a new form of adaptive AI into the galactic network something that blended Earth's digital technology with recovered alien systems. Within days, human-designed interfaces began outperforming systems that had been standard for millennia. The galaxy's commerce, communication, and navigation networks were transformed almost overnight. The Drachnids, still smarting from their failed invasion, made one final, desperate attempt to save face. They launched a secret operation to sabotage Earth's rapidly growing space fleet. What they discovered instead was that humans had anticipated their move. Every apparent vulnerability in our defenses was actually an elaborate trap. The entire Drachnid strike force found itself caught in a web of gravitational anomalies, their advanced ships disabled by technology they didn't even understand. As news of the failed Drachnid operation spread, other species began to see humanity in a new light. Our reputation shifted from surprisingly resilient primitives to dangerously unpredictable innovators. The council chambers buzzed with rumors about human achievements. How had we reverse-engineered centuries of alien technology in months? Why were our primitive solutions often more effective than their advanced ones? The answer lay in humanity's greatest strength, our diversity of thought. While alien civilizations had developed along singular paths, humans had always explored countless possibilities simultaneously. Where they saw technology as something to be mastered, we saw it as something to be reimagined. Every piece of alien tech that fell into human hands was taken apart, recombined, and transformed by thousands of different perspectives. Earth's orbital shipyards now operated around the clock, producing vessels that made alien engineers question their basic understanding of physics. Our colonies on Mars and Europa had become testing grounds for environmental technologies that outperformed anything in the galactic database. But most worryingly for the Council, humans had begun sharing our innovations with younger spacefaring races, disrupting the carefully maintained power balance that had existed for millennia. The tension reached its breaking point when long-range sensors detected a massive fleet approaching from the galactic core. It wasn't just the Drachnids this time. Several other major powers had formed an alliance, convinced that humanity needed to be contained before we grew too powerful. Their armada was larger than anything seen in recorded history, carrying enough firepower to reduce multiple solar systems to cosmic dust. As the fleet approached our solar system, they expected to find Earth scrambling to mount a defense. Instead, they found unsettling silence. Our orbital stations appeared abandoned. Our colonies showed no signs of activity. Even our communication networks had gone quiet. The Alliance fleet moved closer, their sensors straining to detect any sign of human activity. That's when they realized their mistake. The very space around them had become our weapon. Every seemingly empty sector they passed through had altered their ships in subtle, undetectable ways. They weren't approaching Earth. They were entering the largest trap ever constructed. Want to know how humanity turns the tables on the entire galactic alliance? Stay tuned for the epic conclusion. The Alliance fleet commanders realized too late that they had fallen into humanity's most elaborate deception yet. Every abandoned human station they passed had been seeding their ship's systems with dormant quantum algorithms, inspired by the same computer viruses Earth's nations had once used against each other. But this was just the beginning of their problems. As the fleet reached the asteroid belt, they discovered why humans had chosen this particular battlefield. For months, civilian mining operations had appeared to be simply extracting resources. In reality, they had been repositioning thousands of asteroids into a complex, three-dimensional grid. Each space rock had been hollowed out and turned into a stealth weapons platform, powered by miniaturized versions of the stolen Drachnid fusion cores. The true genius of humanity's trap wasn't in its destructive potential. It was in offering their enemies a choice. As the Alliance fleet found itself surrounded, a single transmission was broadcast across all frequencies. It came from an unexpected source, not from military command, but from a unified council of Earth's scientific institutions. They revealed that the past 6 months of human technological advancement had been deliberately understated. While the galaxy had watched our obvious progress in shipbuilding and AI, they had missed our quantum research breakthroughs. The seemingly primitive humans had cracked the code of manipulating subspace itself. Each asteroid in the grid wasn't just a weapons platform. It was a node in a vast network that could literally rewrite the laws of physics within its boundaries. The Alliance fleet wasn't just caught in a trap. They were caught in a bubble of space where humanity controlled the fundamental forces of reality. But then came the moment that would change galactic history forever. As the Alliance commanders prepared for either surrender or annihilation, humanity revealed the true purpose of this confrontation. The asteroid grid wasn't a weapon at all. It was a demonstration. The quantum network could do more than just control space. It could bridge the gap between dimensions. Through their research into captured alien tech, humans had discovered something that had eluded the galaxy's finest minds for millennia: evidence of other universes pressing against our own. The Alliance fleet had just become unwitting participants in the largest scientific experiment ever conducted. The weapons platforms were actually sensors designed to gather data about how different species' technologies interacted with dimensional barriers. This revelation sent shockwaves through the Alliance fleet. Their own scientists, analyzing the data streaming from the quantum grid, began to understand the implications. Humanity hadn't been preparing for war. We had been preparing to save the galaxy from a threat only we had detected. Our centuries of imagining cosmic horrors and interdimensional invasions had uniquely prepared us to recognize patterns that other species had dismissed as background radiation. The Alliance commanders found themselves facing an impossible choice. Their original mission to contain humanity now seemed not just futile, but potentially catastrophic. The very adaptability and aggression they had feared might be the galaxy's only defense against what was coming. But accepting this meant acknowledging that the entire power structure of galactic civilization needed to change. As the Alliance fleet hung suspended in humanity's quantum grid, new signals began appearing on their sensors. Something was responding to the grid's dimensional probes, something vast and ancient that had been waiting in the spaces between universes. The grid's readings suggested that similar networks of sensors had been built before, by civilizations long vanished from our galaxy. Humanity had discovered why so many advanced species had mysteriously disappeared throughout galactic history. We hadn't just stumbled upon this knowledge. We had been deliberately searching for it, driven by generations of science fiction writers who had imagined this very scenario. While other species sought to preserve their power, we had been preparing for a war unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced. Want to find out what lurks between dimensions and how humanity unites the galaxy against this cosmic threat? Stay tuned for the mind-bending next part. The interdimensional entities revealed themselves not through dramatic invasion, but through subtle distortions in reality that only human quantum sensors could detect. Our scientists had theorized that these beings had been slowly consuming entire civilizations by gradually weakening the fabric of space-time around their worlds. The disappearance of ancient species hadn't been due to war or natural disaster. They had literally fallen through the cracks in reality. The Alliance fleet, still suspended in humanity's quantum grid, became the backbone of the first unified defense against this cosmic threat. What had started as an attempt to contain humanity transformed into the largest cooperative military operation in galactic history. The very technologies each species had developed for war were now being rapidly adapted into a multidimensional defense system. Human ingenuity proved its worth yet again. Our centuries of speculative fiction had imagined countless ways that reality itself could be weaponized. What alien species saw as primitive entertainment had actually been an unprecedented think tank, generating millions of potential strategies for fighting enemies that defied conventional physics. Every science fiction story, every wild theory, every imagined scenario became valuable tactical data. The Drachnids, our former enemies, were the first to fully embrace human methods. Their advanced biotechnology, combined with Earth's quantum discoveries, created living ships capable of sensing and adapting to dimensional anomalies. The Council's energy manipulation expertise, merged with human AI systems, generated shields that could stabilize weakened areas of space-time. For the first time, the galaxy's species were sharing and combining their technologies without reservation. But the entities weren't passive victims of our defenses. They responded by accelerating their consumption of reality, creating massive tears in space-time that threatened to swallow entire star systems. The combined fleet watched in horror as the first tears appeared at the edges of populated space, distorting light and matter in ways that defied explanation. That's when humanity revealed our final card. While the galaxy had focused on our visible technological advances, a secret project had been underway beneath the surface of Europa. Using the ice moon's entire core as a quantum computer, human scientists had been mapping the mathematical structure of reality itself. We hadn't just been learning how to fight these entities, we had been learning how to rewrite the fundamental rules they operated under. The Europa Project, as it came to be known, proved that these dimensional entities weren't all-powerful gods, but rather inhabitants of a universe with different physical laws trying to expand into ours. By understanding their native physics, we could create areas of space they couldn't enter without being forced to obey our universe's rules, effectively making them solid, tangible, and therefore vulnerable. In a desperate gamble, the combined fleet used the asteroid grid to generate a massive quantum field, temporarily converting a section of space into a hybrid zone where both sets of physical laws applied. The entities drawn to this unique phenomenon found themselves partially manifesting in our reality. For the first time in history, the galaxy saw its ancient enemy, beings of pure mathematical chaos, forced into forms that our universe could process. The battle that followed defied description in any known language. Ships armed with weapons that bent reality itself clashed with creatures that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Human tactical systems, trained on countless video games and simulations, coordinated the galaxy's combined forces with unprecedented effectiveness. The entities, finding themselves vulnerable for the first time, began to retreat. But victory came with a profound revelation. The quantum field revealed that these entities weren't invaders at all. They were refugees, fleeing the complete collapse of their own universe. Their consumption of our reality hadn't been an attack, but a desperate attempt to survive. This understanding changed everything. The combined forces of our galaxy faced a choice: continue fighting or attempt something unprecedented, interdimensional diplomacy. Want to know how humanity leads the galaxy in establishing peace with beings from another universe? And what ancient secret about the true nature of reality this revelation uncovers? Stay tuned for the stunning conclusion. The revelation about the dimensional entity's true nature sparked the most ambitious diplomatic mission in history. Humanity's unique gift for communication across seemingly impossible barriers once again proved invaluable. Our long history of imagining and depicting alien life in all its forms had prepared us to think beyond conventional concepts of existence and consciousness. The Europa Project was repurposed from a weapon into a translation system. Using quantum algorithms that could process reality as pure mathematics, humans created the first bridge of understanding between dimensions. The entities, no longer forced to consume our reality to survive, shared knowledge that revolutionized our understanding of the cosmos. They revealed that the multiverse was facing a crisis far greater than the collapse of a single universe. Entropy itself was accelerating. The Galactic Council underwent a profound transformation. Species that had once competed for power now worked together, combining their unique perspectives and technologies. The Drachnid's biological mastery, merged with human innovation and the dimensional entity's mathematical insights, led to the development of ships that could safely navigate between realities. These vessels became the foundation of an interdimensional rescue network, helping to evacuate beings from dying universes into stable ones. Earth, once considered a primitive backwater, became the center of this new multi-universal civilization. Our cities transformed into meeting places where beings from different dimensions could safely interact. The quantum field technology that had originally been designed as a weapon now powered massive habitation zones where multiple forms of reality could coexist harmoniously. Our science fiction writers were hired as consultants, their imaginative leaps helping to solve seemingly impossible problems of interdimensional coexistence. The entities shared a final truth that changed everything. Consciousness itself was the key to universal stability. Every story humans had told, every piece of art we had created, every imagined possibility had actually been strengthening the fabric of our reality. Our creativity wasn't just entertainment. It was a fundamental force that helped maintain the structure of the universe. Other species had become too focused on technological advancement, losing the vital spark of imagination that humans had stubbornly maintained. 5 years after the first contact with the dimensional entities, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Former enemies worked side by side in research stations that spanned multiple realities. The combined knowledge of countless civilizations, both physical and non-physical, had solved problems that had once seemed insurmountable. Energy was infinite, death was increasingly optional, and the boundaries between thought and reality had become wonderfully blurred. But perhaps the most profound change was in how species viewed themselves and their place in existence. The human concept of story, of narrative and meaning, had spread across dimensions. Beings that had once existed as pure mathematical concepts began creating art. Ancient warfare-focused civilizations discovered the power of cultural exchange. The galaxy had evolved from a collection of competing species into a tapestry of interconnected stories. As for Earth, we never lost our edge, our resourcefulness, or our slightly paranoid tendency to prepare for the worst. But now these traits were seen as valuable survival tools rather than dangerous flaws. Our movies, games, and stories continue to imagine new possibilities, strengthening reality itself while helping countless species dream of what might be possible. The apex predators of Earth had evolved one final time, from survivors to warriors to something entirely new, guardians of imagination itself, protectors of the power of dreams across all dimensions. As it turned out, the most dangerous species in the galaxy had also been its greatest hope. Our ability to bare our teeth had only been matched by our ability to extend our hands in friendship, even to those who had once sought to destroy us. And so, the story of humanity's rise from a primitive planetary species to guardians of the multiverse came to an end, or perhaps, more accurately, a new beginning. After all, if there's one thing humans know for certain, it's that there's always another chapter waiting to be written, another frontier waiting to be explored, another story waiting to be told. The universe, in all its infinite dimensions, watches and waits to see what we'll dream up next.